Hello. In this video, we're going to look at ways that you can format strings when you want to print them as an output. Here I have a program that takes the radius and height of a cylinder from the input of a user, and then calculates the volume and surface area for that cylinder. If you'd like, you can take a moment to pause the video and think through this program. Now what I still need to do is add the code that prints the output for the diameter, the volume, and the surface area of the cylinder. But I don't just want to print the values, I want to add some text around it that identifies the values. So I'm going to do this all in one print statement. And let me show you the naive way of doing it, the way you might think of to do it first. Okay, so this might be one way that you think about doing this, where you have the text that you want, and then a comma, and then we're calling some values from the program, and then a comma, and then some more text, and then a comma, and some values, comma, text, comma, values, comma, text. Let's run this and just see if it works. Okay, so this method does work. We see that the diameter of the cylinder is 10, the volume is 392 and some change, and the surface area is 314 and some decimals. But notice my periods aren't connected to the sentence they end on, and this is pretty clunky and a bit tricky to read, maybe even. So let's look at a better way we could do this, and a better way to do this is by using formatted strings. Formatted strings start by putting an F outside of the string that you're going to format. So before my first apostrophe here, I want to put an F. And then that tells Python that what comes next is not a regular string, but might have some extra stuff in it. And what this lets us do is call variables and functions and expressions directly inside of the string without using those comma separators. And we can do that by using these squiggly brackets. And so I'm going to say that the diameter of the cylinder is 2 times the radius. So inside these squiggly brackets, we can put any valid Python expression, and the formatted string will evaluate it for us. And then I'm going to say the volume is volume. I'm going to go to a new line here. I'm going to say the surface area is SA. Now you'll notice when I went to a new line, this is not part of the string anymore, which is not good. So to make that part of the string, to continue it from this first line, what I'm going to have to do is use this backslash. And the backslash just lets Python know that we're continuing on the next line. The backslash really ignores the next character that comes, and so here it is ignoring the enter that I did. All right, so let's run this now. And there I get a better looking string. I have the periods in the correct place at the end of my sentences, except I forgot to put one here. And that looks all pretty good. Now what I don't like is these really long decimal numbers. Those are pretty hard to read. And I also need to add units. So let's say that this is in centimeters. Let's go ahead and we'll just put this volume on another line itself also. And we'll say the volume is centimeters cubed. And surface area is centimeters squared. And then let's take care of these decimals. And so what we can do is inside these squiggly brackets, after the variable that we call, we can add this formatting. Say colon 0.2f. And this is an expression that will round decimal numbers. And so what this does is it rounds it to, this notation's a little confusing, but whatever this number after the decimal is, right before the F, so 2 or 3, it rounds it to that many places. So let's go ahead and just do this again. All right, so my string here got pretty messed up, but my numbers got rounded. And so what messed it up was adding this extra line when I pressed enter. And what will fix it actually is removing this space here. So you can see that looks a little bit better. Now, these are not all on a new line, even though I put a new line in my code. Notice these are all just running back-to-back sentences because Python is ignoring that space I put in. So if I want each of these to actually be on a new line, what I have to do is use not just the slash here, but a \n will create a new line. And notice when I put the n here, now these are not part of the string anymore because Python doesn't know that this is all supposed to be the same string. So I need another slash here to tell Python to put this next line inside the same string statement. All right, so now I've put /n for new line. All right, and now each of these is on a new line. There is an extra space here. That's probably coming from this space right here, I would guess. Yep, so there we fixed it. And now each of these is on a new line. And we have each of them on a line in the code here. So moving the code to the side like that is not generally considered good practice. So it is best to have your, like these here should not come left of this parenthesis. But that does mess up the formatting, so you'll have to play with it a little bit to get the formatting correct sometimes. The other thing I could do here is I could add a tab at the beginning of this line and just bring them all over to the right. And you can create a tab by doing \t. So let's see if that lines everything up. Oh, not quite. It's one space short. I wonder if I put an extra space there, it might be okay. No. So you have to play around with formatting to get it to line up exactly the way you want it to line up. But these are some formatting tricks that can help you. Let's look at one other program here real quick. And this will be a program that generates Mad Libs. So this program is using pandas that we don't use in this class. But all pandas is doing for me here is taking these CSV files I have of city names, baby names, and occupations, and turning them into lists. So that's all we're doing. So I have these really long lists of cities, names, and jobs. And then you notice I imported the function choice from random. So what this is going to do is when we call it, it will take a random element from the cities, names, and jobs list. So let's make a Mad Lib. Let's do print. We'll do as an F string. And I'm going to say, so my friend. And then I'm going to do a random name from names is A. And then we'll do a random job from jobs. Oops. So I have my friend blank is a blank who lives in, and then we'll put a random city here. So notice inside of these squiggly brackets, I'm calling a function. So we are more than allowed to just call functions inside this. And there we go. All right, so let's see if this prints correctly. All right, my friend Elvie is a medical advisor who lives in Tunari. So we created just a little Madlib. And we can do it again. My friend Malcolm is a forklift truck driver who lives in New Paltz. So there's a neat little code that shows you calling functions inside of these strings directly using formatted strings. And then we saw some other tricks for formatted strings in this code.